Why people with good jobs still feel financially trapped. A good job can still feel like a financial cage. And the strangest part is nobody sees it. This feeling rarely starts with disaster. It starts inside a stable life that looks correct. There is income, routine, and a respectable role. There is no dramatic emergency to point at. There is just a quiet pressure that never leaves. Morning begins before you feel ready. The alarm cuts through a half-sleep you never finish. You check the calendar before you check your own mood. You move through the kitchen without thinking much. Coffee, keys, phone, and a familiar sense of rushing. The commute becomes a tunnel you enter every weekday. Traffic lights, train stops, the same faces, the same silence. An office lobby that smells like clean air and deadlines. Elevator doors closing like a small decision made for you. A desk, a screen, and a day already spoken for. Paperwork stacks quietly at the edge of your attention. Meetings fill the gaps where your life could breathe. Lunch happens fast, even when you call it a break. You answer messages with a calm tone you perform. You say busy, like it explains everything. The afternoon moves, then stretches, then disappears. Late evening arrives before you notice the hours leaving. You step outside and the quiet street feels colder. Your shoulders drop, but not from relief. They drop because holding it up all day is tiring. The commute home feels like rewind, not rest. You scroll while walking, not even reading, just escaping. A headline about costs rising, another about someone thriving. A friend posts a vacation that looks effortless and bright. A colleague buys a home like it was a casual step. You feel happy for them, then feel something else. You reach the kitchen table and sit without hunger. Dinner is simple because decision-making is already spent. An empty room holds the silence you avoid all day. You open mail you should have opened last week. A letter, a bill, a renewal notice, a small reminder. Nothing catastrophic, just another fixed obligation. Your phone lights up with a bank notification. It looks normal, but your stomach still tightens. You are not broke, but you do not feel free. You are employed, but you do not feel secure. You are doing well, but you do not feel ahead. Then the thought arrives with no warning. Why does this still feel tight? Why does it feel like there is no margin? The paycheck comes, the bills leave, and it repeats. You earn more than you used to earn, but your mind is not calmer than it used to be. You reached the good job you aimed for, yet the feeling of safety never fully shows up. You start calculating without meaning to calculate. A mortgage, a car, insurance, school, subscriptions, repairs. Every category looks reasonable when you name it. Together they look like a locked door. You think about retirement in short flashes, then stop. You think about emergencies, then try to forget. You think about later, but later feels closer now. You remember when life felt more flexible. Not easier, just less crowded with obligations. Back then you had fewer choices, but more imagination. Now you have more stability, but less space to move. You keep asking a question you do not say out loud. How can I feel trapped while doing everything right? It gets worse when you compare, even softly. You do not compare like a teenager chasing status. You compare like an adult checking for danger. You notice who seems ahead and who seems relaxed. You notice who travels without guilt or calculation. You notice who speaks about money without tension. You notice who changes jobs like it is light work. And you wonder what you missed that they found. Maybe they started earlier, or got lucky, or had help. Maybe they simply chose a different path. But you still feel something uncomfortable inside your chest. A private suspicion that you are late to your own life. Not late in age, but late in positioning. Late in building the kind of safety that feels real. Late in finding a life that feels like yours. And the word late carries shame you never asked for. You do not want to admit it to anyone, because admitting it feels like admitting failure. And you are not supposed to fail now. You are supposed to be stable now. You are supposed to have figured it out by now. So you keep going, because you can keep going. You show up, you perform, you deliver, you cope. You become reliable, because reliability is rewarded. But reliability also becomes a trap when it hardens. Your life becomes a structure others depend on. Dependence feels like meaning until it feels like weight. Your job becomes your proof of responsibility, and responsibility slowly becomes your identity. You start protecting the system more than you protect yourself, not because you are weak, but because you are aware. You know what it costs to rebuild from scratch. You know what it costs to make one wrong move. You know the world is less forgiving at 45. The stakes feel higher and your tolerance feels lower. So you keep things steady, even when steady feels tight. This is where the misunderstanding happens. People assume trapped means poor or reckless or irresponsible. But trapped often looks like competence and consistency. Trapped looks like someone with a calendar always full. Trapped looks like someone who never misses a deadline. Trapped looks like someone who pays everything on time. Trapped looks like someone who can handle a crisis. And that is why nobody notices the internal cost. Because the external performance stays clean. You are not drowning, you are contained. And containment is harder to explain than drowning. The trap is not only financial, it is structural, psychological, and emotional. It is what happens when your life becomes optimized for stability. Stability is supposed to feel like safety. But stability can also become a fixed shape. And fixed shapes do not adapt easily to change. A good job brings predictable income and predictable rhythm. Predictability sounds comforting until you feel stuck inside it. Your schedule becomes a fence built from obligations. Your income becomes a ceiling built from expectations. Your lifestyle becomes a contract you did not read carefully. And the contract is enforced by time. Because time is the one resource you cannot renegotiate. You can earn more, but you cannot buy back years. You can change jobs, but not without friction. You can cut costs, but not without consequences. You can reduce spending, but not reduce responsibility overnight. So the mind reacts with pressure and vigilance, not because you are irrational, but because you are awake. There is another layer most people miss. A good job can create the illusion of control. You feel in control because you manage complexity daily. You solve problems, lead meetings, hit targets, carry decisions. You become skilled at moving pieces around. But financial freedom is not only about moving pieces. It is also about having room when pieces collapse. Room is called margin, and margin feels rare now. The older you get, the more margin matters. Because life becomes less hypothetical and more real. Parents age, kids grow, bodies change, costs appear. The calendar starts looking like a countdown, not a plan. And a countdown changes how everything feels. You realize you are not working for extra. You are working to maintain a baseline that keeps creeping upward, a baseline shaped by housing, expectations, and social gravity. Social gravity is subtle but strong. It pulls you toward a certain lifestyle without asking you. You are not trying to impress strangers. You are trying to avoid falling behind your own environment. You live among people who normalize expensive stability. The safe neighborhood, the good school, the reliable car. Each one is understandable and each one is sticky. Once you enter, leaving feels like loss. So you stay, and staying becomes the default. And the default becomes the cage. At some point you notice another strange thing. Your salary rises, but your nervous system does not relax. Your bank balance looks fine, but your mind stays alert. This is not just about numbers. This is about what the numbers represent now. They represent time you traded for stability. They represent choices you cannot easily undo. They represent the fact that your freedom is conditional. Conditional on health, employment, and the system continuing. Conditional on nothing unexpected happening for too long. And adults know the truth about unexpected. It is not rare, it is guaranteed eventually. So the anxiety becomes quiet and constant. Not loud panic, but steady tension. A tension you carry into the office every day. A tension that sits in your chest during meetings. A tension that follows you into late evening at home. A tension that appears when you open the calendar. A tension that appears when you see a friend thriving. A tension that appears when you think about 5 years. 5 years is close enough to feel real, and far enough to feel uncertain. That combination is exactly where anxiety lives. There is also the loneliness of it, because you cannot talk about it easily. If you say you feel trapped, people hear complaints. They hear entitlement, not tension. They assume you want more luxury, not more breathing room. So you keep it private, and privacy intensifies it. You become the person who has it together, and the person who has it together is not allowed to struggle. Not openly, not honestly, not without awkward reactions. So you manage your own fear like another project. You schedule around it, distract it, silence it. You call it stress because stress sounds acceptable. But stress is temporary, and this feels permanent. This is where the script matters. Most professionals are following a script they inherited. Study, work hard, climb, stabilize, buy, build, repeat. It worked well in a world with cheaper stability. It worked well when one salary stretched further. It worked well when housing was less punishing. It worked well when pensions were more common. It worked well when the future felt more predictable. But the script did not update when the world updated. Now the same actions produce different outcomes. You can do everything right and still feel cornered. Not because you failed, but because conditions changed. And nobody announces that change when you are busy surviving. You are too occupied with paperwork and deadlines to notice. You are too responsible to step back and question it. So you keep following the script with higher intensity. And higher intensity often feels like deeper entrapment. A good job becomes the center of the system. The system expands until it fills your life. Then the job becomes the thing you must protect. Even when the job is the thing that exhausts you. Even when the job is the thing that compresses your time. Even when the job is the thing that keeps you anxious. This is the quiet paradox of mid-career life. You rely on what drains you. You protect what constrains you. And you tell yourself it is maturity. Sometimes it is maturity. Sometimes it is fear wearing a professional costume. There is a specific moment many people recognize. It happens in an ordinary place. In a parking lot, or on a quiet street, in an office corridor after a long meeting, at the kitchen table late at night. You realize you cannot easily change direction now, not because you are incapable, because the cost of change has become visible in bills, dependents, routines, and expectations, visible in your energy levels and your patience, visible in how quickly time passes. And once you see the cost of change, you feel trapped, even if you never actually change anything, because the awareness itself is a kind of confinement. This awareness also changes how you see money. Money stops feeling like freedom. Money starts feeling like containment management. You are not building a dream. You are maintaining a structure that could collapse if one pillar fails. Health, job, family needs, market conditions, time. You begin to realize how many pillars exist and how little control you have over some of them. So you compensate by controlling what you can. Budgeting, planning, forecasting, checking balances. Not as a hobby, but as self-defense. And self-defense does not feel like peace. It feels like vigilance. The emotional cost is subtle but serious. You become less spontaneous. You become less willing to take risks. You become less hopeful in a quiet way. You stop imagining different lives because imagination hurts. It hurts to imagine what you might not be able to do. It hurts to imagine starting over at this age. It hurts to imagine being behind forever. So you narrow your focus to what is manageable. Work, obligations, family, routine, recovery, repeat. And the narrower your focus becomes, the smaller life feels. Small life is not always bad, but small life can feel like a trap when unchosen. This is the part nobody likes admitting. The trap is not only external. The trap is also internal agreement. An agreement to keep the system stable at any cost. An agreement to postpone your own questions. An agreement to call survival success. An agreement to tolerate a life that feels tight. Not because you are weak, because you are responsible, and responsibility is persuasive. Responsibility can silence your instincts for years. It can make discomfort feel normal. It can make tension feel like adulthood. And that is how the script keeps running. You did not fail. You adapted to the world you were given. You made choices that made sense at the time. You built stability in the ways you were taught. But the feeling of being trapped is information. It is not proof of incompetence. It is proof that your system has no breathing room. It is proof that your life has become too fixed. It is proof that time is now the scarce resource. And scarcity always creates pressure. Even when the bank account looks fine. Some people try to fix this with more ambition, more hours, more projects, more income, more pushing. Sometimes that works for a moment. Then the system expands again and consumes the new income. Because the issue is not only income, the issue is structure, expectations, and time. Time is the part that never increases. And when time feels expensive, you feel trapped. That is why this feeling appears in mid-career. Because mid-career is when time becomes visible, not as a concept, but as a limit. You start noticing how fast the weeks move. Monday becomes Friday without you noticing the middle. A month disappears in paperwork and commute. A year passes and you remember only fragments. An office meeting, a late evening, a quiet street. You realize your life is being spent, not just lived. And spending life feels different than spending money. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. So the anxiety is not irrational. It is a response to a real constraint, a constraint the script never prepared you to face. Because the script assumes time is endless when you comply. But adulthood reveals time is limited even when you comply. This is why so many good jobs feel trapping. They demand consistency, and consistency becomes habit. Habit becomes identity, and identity becomes a prison. Not a dramatic prison, a quiet one. A prison with health insurance and a professional title. A prison with meetings and polite conversations. A prison with a paycheck and a calendar full of obligations. And because it looks respectable, you doubt your own feelings. You tell yourself you should be grateful. You tell yourself others have it worse. You tell yourself this is normal. And maybe it is normal. But normal is not the same as free. If this feels familiar, notice the pattern. The pattern is not that you are incompetent. The pattern is that the script stopped working. It promised stability would feel like safety. But stability without margin feels like pressure. And pressure, held for years, feels like a trap. The question is not whether you have a good job. The question is what the good job is costing you. Not only in money, but in flexibility. Not only in hours, but in imagination. Not only in comfort, but in your sense of agency. Agency is the quiet feeling that your life is yours. When agency fades, even stability feels like confinement. And many professionals do not notice agency fading. They notice it only when the trapped feeling arrives. Feeling trapped does not mean you failed. It may mean you outgrew the script you followed. And the script does not announce when it expires. It expires quietly while you keep performing. So the trapped feeling is not a verdict. It is a signal. And signals are uncomfortable for a reason.